The Israelis want their people out. You heard President Trump over and over again say the same thing about Hamas, that all hell's going to break loose. He supports right now what Netanyahu's doing because they tried. They tried honey, and now it's the stick again. You're dealing with monsters. You're dealing with subhumans. You're dealing with terrorists. For crying out loud, what is with the American media? So here we have a gentleman who is an Israeli hostage with Lesley Stahl. And she is awful. She is absolutely horrendous. And she should have gotten the hook a long time ago. William Paley, who founded CBS, was a Jewish gentleman out of Philadelphia. As a matter of fact, he founded WCAU, which was among the first radio stations in America in the 1920s. 50,000 or 100,000 watt station. It's changed ownership since then, as they all do. But that was really the mothership from which he purchased other stations, created a radio network. And then when television, just in its birth, started to appear, he bought some local stations, and he created the CBS television network, Columbia Broadcasting System. I gotta believe after watching this interview, and we're not gonna play the whole thing because you don't want to really be that dumbed down, seriously. It's just play a little under 3 minutes, that he would be thoroughly and completely disgusted by the whole thing. But let's take a look at this. Again, just a tiny little clip of what took place here. Go.
Viewers of 60 Minutes were shocked after reporter Lesley Stahl bizarrely appeared to make excuses for Hamas during an interview with a freed Israeli hostage.
The terrorists became very mean and very cruel and violent.
More so.
Much more so. They were beating me and starving me.
Do you think they starved you, or they just didn't have food?
No, I think they starved me, and they would often eat in front of me and not offer me food.
Fox News hosts blasted Stahl for the tone-deaf question.
These individuals show up gaunt. They have been tortured in horrific fashion. Was it just that Hamas didn't have food? Lesley Stahl, what's in your drinking water?
I don't know, but didn't she notice that the hostage takers weren't emaciated?
And on top of the shocking question posed to the Jewish hostage, the 60 Minutes reporter attacked Israel, calling them out for supposedly breaking the ceasefire with Hamas, whilst ignoring Hamas's repeated violations of the agreed-upon ceasefire first.
Statistics tell the grim story of the October 7th, 2023 Hamas terrorist attack on Israel. 1,200 civilians and soldiers slaughtered that day. 251 taken hostage, men, women, and children. Since then, an estimated 50,000 Gazans have been killed.
Stop. This is unbelievable to me. Where did she get those numbers from? She got those numbers from Hamas. Number one, it's bad enough to use them. It's outrageous. Number two, it's bad enough when you use them and you don't tell the people the source. I've had statisticians on my radio show, on my Fox show, who've said, that's not true. It's an absolute impossibility. And they've gone through why and how it's an impossibility. And she repeats it, and she knows it's not true, and she knows she got the numbers from Hamas, but she uses them anyway, and she doesn't give the source. In addition to her suggesting that they were starving this man to death, but they didn't have the food. And yet there's story after story after story of tons and tons of food being brought into Gaza and stolen by Hamas. Hamas steals it to feed themselves, and what they have left over they sell to the other Palestinians in order to fund their war machine. Not only have the Israelis reported this, other people, eyewitnesses, have reported this. So she puts this out. She lies about the food and the starving of the hostage. She says, no, they starved me. They were eating in front of me. She lies about the numbers. And then number three, she suggests that it's Netanyahu who ended the ceasefire. There were conditions to the first phase that this guy Witkoff and the others negotiated, a phase one, a phase two, and so forth and so on. Phase one, and Hamas stopped. The Israelis want their people out. You heard President Trump over and over again say the same thing about Hamas, that all hell's going to break loose. He supports right now what Netanyahu's doing because they tried. They tried honey, and now it's the stick again. You're dealing with monsters. You're dealing with subhumans. You're dealing with terrorists. For crying out loud. What is with the American media? What is with her? Her. Go ahead.
12 days ago, Israeli Prime Minister Netanyahu resumed the bombing of Gaza, breaking a fragile ceasefire.
See that? He resumed the bombing of Gaza. He's breaking a fragile ceasefire. I mean, you have to ask yourselves, who do these people work for? Hamas? Qatar? Hezbollah? Seriously? Seriously? You know, this isn't even bias. This is outright propaganda. That's what it is. And to what end? Seriously, America, to what end? Go ahead, finish it up.
That was exceedingly popular with Israelis.
To add insult to injury for Stahl, this freed hostage has nothing but praise for Donald Trump, much to the reporter's dismay.
If you could say something to President Trump, what would you say?
Please stop this war and help bring all the hostages back.
And you think he can help?
I know he can help. I'm here because of Trump. I'm here only because of him.
This commentator agreed, saying Lesley Stahl's worst nightmare is to hear others praise Trump. But this, unfortunately, isn't Lesley Stahl's first rodeo. She was humiliated by Trump after she tried to defend Hunter Biden during an interview.
And he's in the midst of a scandal.
He's not.
And he's taking...
He's
of course
not.
he is,
No.
Leslie.
Come on.
Of course he is. It's the biggest, second biggest scandal.
So,
the biggest scandal was when they spied on my campaign. They spied on my campaign,
there's
Leslie.
no real evidence of that.
Of course there is. It's all over the place.
Why is she on TV? She's not entertaining, so she doesn't make a good clown. Boy, 60 minutes. 60 minutes isn't worth 1 minute of your time. I'm telling you right now. It's appalling. And remember how they edited for Kamala Harris? Remember all that? She was rambling on like the buffoon that she is on issues related to, I don't remember, I think it was the Middle East, as a matter of fact. And she's rambling on so long and so moronically that they cut a big chunk of it out. Even the part they left, you're going, oh, that woman's nuts. And Trump sued them. He said, wait a minute, you're trying to influence the campaign and so forth? That's effectively an in-kind contribution. CBS 60 Minutes has lost its way. Not that it ever had its way, but at least it did different types of... This is just disgusting.
For all this and much more, sign up for Levin TV.